Okay, I've got to say, that's quite insane. I don't think we had 10 to 12 laps of tyres here previously with super softs. Like, usually super softs were like 8 to 10 on average, weren't they? If that is really the extra bit of tyre wear lowering that we get here, that is quite insane, and I'm really happy with that. Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to another episode on Motorsport Manager with me, Spacefish, and welcome back to the home screen, where we're still somehow the heads of our own team. I'm not quite sure how it happened, because you all may remember the slight disaster that ensued at the end of the last season when we realised we were very likely not going to make the goal that was set out for us, and we were supposed to get fired from our very own team. Now, it really came down to the last race where, well, honestly, we really excelled, and we did finally get in some pretty decent results, I would argue. But, well, somehow, despite still failing slightly, not all too crazily, but slightly, to make the points that we need, we remained in the seat for the team. I don't know why. Maybe it is a fault by the game. Maybe it is due to us having our own team and not being able to be fired from it. I've got no clue how it works, but I would say we take it and we go straight ahead into our third season. Now, last episode, due to my disbelief about us really being able to remain in the driver's seat for this team, became a little bit of an overtime video. I think it was like 45 minutes long or something. So we do already have some progress made, as you can see. We do have the car design, for example, for the new season. Quite good figures on tyre wear. Well, still semi-decent on tyre heating improvability. Bit better maybe on fuel efficiency, I think, but overall quite fine, I would argue. We are, well, for the corners, of course, in the middle spot, because, well, in fact, actually, these are new. We need to now develop those, so a bit of a rule change stuff applying here. You can see that for the gearbox, well, we all get the same now, but we do now have to develop the front wings. We are starting out, luckily, on par with all the other teams, because everyone gets the same starting bits of figures, so that's helpful. Deceleration, we're quite good. Our engine is quite terrible, and well, for medium speed corners, we're also quite terrible. So lots of things to work on for the season. We do have a good bunch of money. Of course, you know, we are also going to spend a good bunch of money over the course of the season, but we're really going to try now to actually make this season work for ourselves. So we're still in pre-season. Well, not really pre-season, but the first race is coming up, so we do now need to get going on improving the parts, fitting new parts, designing new parts, all that good sort of stuff. And, well, when that all is done and ready and good to go, we are going to be heading on for our first race of the season. So, lots at stake here. I hope it is going to be going fine for us. Just before we get going on our tasks of the day, though, if you're new around here and if you do happen to enjoy this episode, of course, please make sure to go ahead and smash that subscribe button right down below. I would really appreciate that an absolute ton. We're still quite the small channel, but we're getting quite close now to 1,000 subscribers. I think it's a little more than 250 still to go for that big milestone. Every single person just really helps out a ton, so thank you so much if you did that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and actually hop in and get going. So we've got 11 days. Now, top speed is quite crucial. Everything else we can't develop on. The gearbox, as I said, is homologation parts, so that is not really, well, something we can work on now anymore, which we did in the past seasons, of course, but that changed. And the back, well, the rear wing is still the same for everyone, so it is really the engine that we need to focus on. Now, of course, compared to last season, oh my god. The parts have changed a little bit, of course, and you can see we do have a little bit of a reliability issue here at our hands, so I would argue we do kind of want to get going on that bit first and somehow try and make things work for ourselves, albeit I'm a little confident that we may have to, one way or another, repair something in the middle of the race, because all these numbers are absolutely terrible. This is 28 days after the race, and I mean, we're going to get this up to like a max spec of like 80%. I'm picking brakes and engine now because I feel like, well, on what seems like a bit more of a high-speed course, this is probably what is going to be kind of affected the most in terms of reliability. That said, front wing suspension, there's gonna have to be something that we need to repair there. We're not going to get all the parts ready for the race, so bit worried there, but we're going to have to make it work. Now, of course, we do have 18 million bucks as well, so I am kind of contemplating a bit putting some of this into the headquarters to, go and move ahead there as well, because we do need to improve our capabilities there constantly. Now, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 races. So, currently supposedly at an income of 1.1, wow. 1.1 million of cost to race, which is really not good. That's a lot of money. Why is it that expensive currently? Oh yeah, we had some new contracts and stuff that we needed with the drivers, so that's really not helpful. Well, what do I say? That 1-star sponsor is certainly not helpful too, but we don't really have another choice now. I mean, there is going to be some race bonus sponsors coming up, so I would argue, we could calculate with 11 million, of course. We've got 18 million in the bank. Now, we do want to make some developments as well, so the question really is, how much money can we afford to spend here? We do have the test track ready to go, of course, which is great, which is beautiful. That does afford us a little bit of engine development capabilities, improves our drivers a little faster, and so on and so forth. Now, 8 million for a brakes R&D factory is pretty darn expensive, though, I have to say. Do you have a telemetry center, which would be for the gearbox, which isn't something that we can use anymore, unfortunately. That is quite the bummer. That would have been quite worth it, especially for 5.2 million bucks. Forecasting center is useful, but it's really not that level of useful. Now, you've got the design center, which does unlock a whole lot of things for us and lower the part design time a little bit, but honestly speaking, we've never really had an issue with the time that it takes us to design parts. We've always more had an issue with the time that it takes us to upgrade parts. So the factory would be beautiful. We don't have the money for that, though. That's never going to happen. So 50% road car factory. I think we've got the factory here max. You can get a road car factory going, which is nice because I think that gets you some extra money inflowing. But yeah, not going to happen in a very, very long while. So the only thing that we really can do that would make any sense in my mind would be building a brakes R&D factory, which is really expensive. Just saying. These upgrades we can't afford. I would love to go through a better test track or something. 12 million bucks is just too much. We're not going to be able to make enough money back there. We're going to go be bankrupt, and we don't really need to be risking getting kicked out of our team again. So I guess, either we go and work on the brakes R&D factory, or we just say that we push more money into getting parts for the car. I'm not really sure. Where are we standing in terms of brakes? We're really not that decent either. Let's go do the brakes R&D factory. I think we should keep improving our headquarters as well, especially considering just how long it takes for some of these to be built. Also, we do save 400 grand on these due to our financial treats, so that is always nice. And there goes the brakes R&D factory right up front here being constructed, so I am very, very much liking that, of course. I did not know that you could just look around like that and even zoom to the front here. There's the entrance. Nice. I don't think we've ever seen that. Anyways, moving on. Scouting. There's nothing, no one being scouted anymore, which, in my mind would be totally fine. But we do want to keep going, especially for the Asia Pacific Super Cup, because, of course, for the future, that is our target. We would like to have everyone scouted in there, because when we do get into there, we may become attractive for drivers in that series, and that may mean that we can then actually go and hire some of those lads for the team. Now, after that, designing parts. So, I would like to honestly just go and say we start with an engine, because, that's where we're the furthest behind, and we kind of really just need to improve on that a lot. For the brakes, we can pull down a little longer suspension probably as well. But we're going to also, maybe before we go decide on that, see what is important for Munich here, which in that case, it's in fact not that anymore. Medium speed corners. Maybe we do want the suspension after all. Because, I mean, the engine's not going to be ready for the race. And you've also got to keep in mind, there's a lot of improvements still to be done here in terms of reliability, performance, all that good stuff. I do need to refit all the parts to specific cars in a second as well, because that, I think, got unsettled again now, probably. I don't know, what do we want to go for first? Given the importance of the race, I'm kind of tending to say we do that. Also, 9.9 days taken, but when is the race? 12th of April, so we've got a whole month till then, after that race. Lots of time, basically, to go and improve on the part that we've designed, which is nice, especially considering the other parts improvements we're making. And, I mean, if we were to make an engine now, the whole improvements that we are doing currently to the reliability of the current engines would very quickly become obsolete, which I really don't like too much. I think we're going to go get some suspension going. What options do we have here? Plus 25 to max. I guess that's what we do, right? For the others, you know, it's going to be a while out. And then what do we have down there? Reliability, red zone, medium speed corners, risk level. Hehe, no. Oh, that is terrible, honestly. That stuff is quite bad. I mean, I don't like that at all. I mean, I guess we could just do 2 greens, but I'm not sure if we do 2 greens. I don't think we unlock slot number 3, which is always a bit of an issue. Ew. That's really not good. I mean, we really don't have that much potential for improving these things this season. Which kind of prompts me to say maybe we do go for the engine. I don't know, man. I'm just not a fan of that. It's pretty much all that we can do, right? Feels like. Well, maybe we get going with this and then we build an engine afterwards, because all these options are terrible. Well, this maybe that. Maybe if we pick that, we can pick 2 greats or something. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll get this going. Let's start out like that. We'll see how it works out for us. We do need to make sure to get more money in, though, because all these developments are going to cost a lot of money, and we don't really have any overheads currently now that we've done the headquarters stuff. So, 4 parts fitment. Let's go and swap things around, because Hong gets the better ones, of course. So, you know, boop, boop. And, well, I mean, this doesn't matter. And then we go boop, boop. And there we go. Hong's got the better parts. Important bit. Well, except for the reliability, which... Well, we'll see how it goes. I do hope, really, that the money we invested into the car this year round really helps us out as well, especially the bit with the tyre wear, because that was historically a very, very big issue of ours, especially with Hong, because he's just not good at managing his tyres, apparently. So, well, fingers crossed that that's going to work out a little bit better for us now. In terms of this, I would really like to quickly go and check through that all the contracts are taken care of. I think we had done this at the end of the last episode, or somewhere in the last episode, but it's always worth double checking, because I mean, I would argue that at least for the level of team that we are, we've got quite a decent pit crew, so we really don't want to lose anyone, if that makes sense. We kind of want to keep them as much as possible, so got to make sure those contracts are all nice and up to date. But it looks good, and you can see what I'm talking about. 4th on grid in terms of the pit crew level, so that is quite decent indeed. You can see that here as well. Our sponsors, wow, best on grid, that's insane. I honestly always felt quite poor, but apparently we're best on grid. And then, you know, staff wise, we're also quite decent. Our headquarters are now catching up. Our drivers are still absolutely terrible, and our car is just basically trash level. Moving on from that, we are going to go, what was all that? I don't know, I think we've already had all these events happen. We are going to go through here a little bit. You want a wind tunnel, you want a scouting facility, you want all the things. I don't have any freaking money for that. I mean, the wind tunnel is, of course, a little more important now that we kind of have to work on the aerodynamics of things, but well, what do we do? God, the reliability to work is taking ages, though. Honestly, this is not even going to get close to not exploding during the race, so we will really probably have to manage our fuel and everything else in between. We already get a message about financial management, yeah? God damn. Okay. Oh, well, that's great. It's beautiful. Acknowledging that, not like I can do anything about it. Now, that said, the suspension build is finished, which is great. I do feel that we're probably not going to use it. I don't know what the reliability of that thing is. 40%. I think it's a bit low, honestly. I mean, I'd rather just keep the more reliable part going for the time being than improve that in time for the next race. These numbers are going up, but really not at a sufficient pace currently, I feel. But what we're going to do now is we're going to have a quick peek into here. I do want to make sure... Yeah, so as it's currently not... Right? As far as I understand... Yeah... As far as I understand, as we've currently not unlocked great levels of things, we can't add great... Or wait. Do we, in fact... I don't know what level these buildings always unlock. Is it the great level? Oh, wow. Okay. So, basically, this ability would be beautiful and really helpful if we had the necessary building to allow us to make these things happen. I don't know what it actually is that we need for the handling development, I guess, right? Yeah, suspension part development. So this is what we would need, but that would imply that we do have the design center up to the level that we need, which we don't, or we don't have the money for it. So I guess it really doesn't make sense to pour much more money in suspension development this season, unfortunately, despite us being absolutely terrible at it, but we just can't really make any good advancements on it. Well, that is, unless we want to go, you know, something like... I don't know, that, right? But, yeah, it's, well, it does seem like we do unlock slots really like that as well, do we? I've got no clue. But, in any case, given the lack of building, we won't be able to use it anyways, and all the stuff and good is terrible. This is really not worth it for 10 points, so we're not going to do it. We're going to go and move on pretty much straight to the engine, because I feel that's the most worthwhile. And I would like to go for fuel efficiency, but I'm not too sure I want that. I think I want 25 to max top speed. I'm really never too sure about fuel efficiency in this game, to be honest. I can't really gauge it, you know, there's no... You can't gauge it. There's no way to actually measure just how good or bad it is for you. This, on the other hand side, I've got a, you know, measurable improvement that I actually know works, so yeah. And then we're going to go this, and then we're going to go for that. Oh no, well no, that, because we don't want a risk level basically. And then we hopefully unlock the great bits as well, which we'll be able to use thanks to our beautiful test track, and hopefully we'll make a semi-decent engine happen. That said, get that engine going. Got to get new parts underway. That can happen, and we are going to go and continue on to traveling to the Black Sea. Quickly just adding another driver to the scouting chain here, and well, let's have a quick look at the oh, here on the upcoming race report. That is of course quite important. It'll be a 30-lap race. There's likely to be some rain during the race. Okay, always mixes things up a little bit. That's good to know. It's really the only information I was kind of looking out for. Now, we do want to go select a sponsor. We're going to go select the 400 grand one. I'm going to try and hit that because, as I said, we really need the money now. We really do need the extra money. As you can see, I mean, this goes down to $772,000 a race of costs, which basically means that if we don't develop any new parts now, if we do this, we go out on a zero balance at the end of the season if we manage to hit that every single race. So, we're in a bit of a tight spot financially, but of course, you know, we've got the bonus sponsors, and I'm probably mostly just going to choose the bonus sponsors where we get like $1 million up front or something to buff the finances a bit, and hopefully that works out for us in the end. That said, parts fitting, all done. Let's go to the race, and we've got we've got a training session to attend. Really interested to see how that one's going to go for us. Now, I think in terms of the testing, we weren't all too happy with that, as far as I remember. There were a lot of reliability issues, but on the other hand side, we all know that reliability is a general issue at the start of the season. You know, there's a lot of people just DNFing. There's a lot of people just having cars break down completely. Same's probably going to happen to us. But, well, if we make sure to manage and, you know, we maybe just, you know, take the pain and do some repairs in the pits if and when needed. Worst case, you know, hopefully we can make it happen that way somehow. Now, in terms of the setup, let's go and see what about... I honestly, you know, I have to say I would love if you could just have the data from the previous season in here, you know, so you get a bit of a comparison base and you don't have to go from zero every single time, like it would be in the real world, you know. I feel that would be quite helpful. I don't know. Just a general feeling. But anyways, we can make it work like that. I'm just going to go for a general or quite conservative setup like that. And Jesus Christ. Okay, I've got to say, that's quite insane. I don't think we had 10 to 12 laps of tyres here previously with super softs. Like, usually super softs were like 8 to 10 on average, weren't they? If that is really the extra bit of tyre wear lowering that we get here, that is quite insane, and I'm really happy with that. I would love to see that happen, because that could really, really help us out in the race. You knew, well, every one of you knows just how crazily sometimes our tyres just fell off at the end of the race, really making life hard for us. Now, I'm a bit confused, because Andre seems to want more understeer, Hong more oversteer. I'm like, we need to see, but anyways. And this guy's at... Really? Man, like, seriously? 8 to 10? He's 2 laps. Wow, he's just chewing through those. I'm just so confused. I don't know, like... Anyways, we'll see about how that works, because I honestly have to say, I'm not too fond of Hong anymore. Maybe we should have just looked out for another driver instead of him. Honestly speaking. I mean, he's got talent and all, but somehow it just doesn't seem to be working out for us with him. Like, especially the way that he just chews through tyres and sends the car into the barriers like every other race, I am honestly a bit unhappy with. So, we may need to see about that for the future. For the time being, let us go and get going, because there's nothing we can do about that now anyways. Just going to zoom through that out lap, and we're going to go get them like one quick lap as per usual, where they can go and get some experience, and we're literally just going to bring them in right after. Downforce bang on, gearing feels nice. That's not a bad start, I guess, to the feedback session. And there they go. So, wow. I absolutely nailed that. What in the world? I don't think we've ever nailed a setup like that. Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm not complaining about that one, but wow. Absolutely nailed the setup. So we're just going to leave it like that. We're going to give him a bit of a... Well, in fact... Yeah, I want to give him a short stint first. Or maybe a longer stint first, and then a short stint after. We're going to give him the longer stint first, just for gathering all the data that we want. And then we're going to give him a shorter stint after, just to kind of go out there and see what times they can make. Because, of course, you know, the track rhythm increases as we go. So that is a bit of a factor. And we do probably want to have those flying laps a little later. And then maybe we can see if we can even get some knowledge for the softs. I'm not sure that's really going to be of any benefit for us. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. In any case, they're going to go out there. I'm going to go set them to attack and overtake. And then they can kind of just show how they're doing. Hopefully well. We'll see about that. Race trim. Level 1. Beautiful stuff. We'll see. Now, honestly, I mean, the times are probably already going to be a decent-ish comparator. But, you know, the extra laps of fuel in there, it's going to slow them down, inevitably. So, it's... While the times are going to be somewhat decent of a comparator, then they're not going to be, like, anywhere close to the max that they can reach, which we're going to go and see in the second stint. But I am quite interested to see what they're going to be doing now. Hong is already, you can see, going a little slower than the first time, because evidently he's got more fuel in there. But he is in third, so that is not absolutely terrible, at the very least. I've got no clue which of these guys are in the better or worse team, so we kind of need to just see as the time's dribbling in. And you can see they're really not up high there for the people driving around with super softs. So that is certainly something to be considering right there. Now, in terms of the rest of the things, we've got 4 minutes and 50 seconds. I think we can go and let them finish this lap and then bring them in on the next one. Then we're going to go and give them fresh tyres. And, well, actually, look at how much more he's chewing through those tyres. 10% less tyres remaining than on Gomes' car. I'm like, it's absolutely astonishing in my mind, honestly. Just, I don't know, I'm not too happy with the way that he does that. In any case, we're bringing them in. Getting them a new set of tyres, getting them 3 laps of fuel, and then they can really show what they're made of. Hopefully get us some decent times in there. Let's see how that will go for them. So, Gomes, first things first, my guy. 3 laps, new set of super softs, really used up those old ones quite well, I have to say. And we're going to go send them out like that. And then the same deal with Hong. So 3 laps and a new set of super softs. 0 laps remaining on those. Absolutely beautiful. Really used the most out of them, despite not really being happy, I guess, with the way that he's been doing there. And then we can go get them out. Now, no extra level of knowledge in any of the other tyres, but honestly, I'm not too convinced that we would ever have used the soft tyre knowledge. And then on the other hand side, well, I mean, we can't, as far as I know at least, gather any knowledge with wet or intermediate tyres while it's not raining. So, yeah. That is that, pretty much. Now, it does not seem that anyone's done any much better times than them yet. That said, the Dylan guy here, or lady, I've got no clue, just got a new personal best with softs. Or, well, not personal, but general best with softs. So that's very worrying. Aside that, these guys are not driving any better times, which is also quite worrying, I have to say. So, it's not great. It's not great, it's not terrible, but well, a lot of people here have now driven times in super softs and also not really overshot us by a lot, so that's also something to consider. But yeah, they've not improved. So, not super happy with that, but also not super terrible. I mean, in terms of the standings for the practice, as usual, you know, you can see just like that we're doing quite well, but we all know that once the practice is over and once it goes to the actual race, it all goes up in a ball of flames, pretty much. So, I want to see you guys win for years to come, Spacefish Racing. I'm a fan for life. Well, that guy is super optimistic. I mean, we've certainly improved, but Jesus Christ, winning. I'm not that optimistic about things yet. A lot of things would have to happen for that, but, you know, never say never. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully it's going to go well in the race. I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? Let me know down below in the comments. I would love to hear. I'm quite happy, I have to say, about the tyre degradation. Car performance, on the other hand side, is kind of mediocre. Reliability, it's not too great, which is probably the same thing compared to all the other teams, but we really have to see now, I guess, when we get into the race, just how this stuff is going to play out for us. I hope it'll somehow work out. Fingers crossed on that. For today, though, I'm ending it off right here. I hope you all very much enjoyed this episode. Of course, if you did, please make sure to go ahead and smash that like button right down below for the algorithm. And if you're new around here and haven't done so just yet, also please consider subscribing right down below, as well as hitting that bell icon in order to stay up to date on all those future upcoming episodes. With all those things out of the way, though, as usual, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll catch you in the next episode very, very soon. Ciao.